Tina, because we'll go ladies before gentlemen. So Tina, if you want, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a huge producer. By the way, I just saw you were nominated one of the 30 under 30 in the whole state of Baltimore.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. If any of you guys have real producers in your area, we happen to have like one of the best like organizers. Our real producers person in Maryland is so great. She's built an amazing community. So I'm Tina. I'm a huge fan of Christmas, hence my office. I am in the Baltimore suburbs. I've been an agent since 2005. I've done many things over the years. I've been high producing solo agent. At one point I had a large team that did almost 200 units a year. I built a large brokerage, and now I am back to a really like efficient team of 4 that's set up to do about 100 units a year. And I also teach and consult and help real estate agents with marketing and referrals, which is really my passion, is sphere business, referrals, online networking. So when we get into the tips, that's probably what you'll hear from me.
That's awesome.
And how much production is your team doing, Tina? I know you have a pretty
high
producing
team. Historically, my team has done about 110 units a year for the last 4 years.
Yeah, awesome. All right, and so Devin, and you're just like the most interesting man on the planet. So I don't even know how to describe you, man. What do you do?
What do I do? I serve humans with love. As you know, I serve humans through God's love and healing energy, and I send it out to everybody that's involved in this conversation that will be in the future. And I love helping people. My number one life value is helping people on their journey, and so I just show up and serve, and that's why I'm here.
Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for serving. I'm glad to be partnered with both of you guys in the Thrive Network, and I can't leave out my good friends, the handsome Martiroso brothers,
Arthur and Arthur.
And Dave, did you get your internet cleaned up or what?
Probably not.
It sounds better. Actually, it sounds better today. So good job, you guys. And you guys are good friends of ours as well, producers over at K-Dubs. And thanks for joining us. And Josh
Thanks
Brown.
for having us.
And and we literally, there's probably about 60 people that signed up for this, but because I don't have any good, by the way, get a copy of this book, any good who's right now in my life, and I'm trying to do everything myself. The email, I guess, went out without any registration information, right, Josh Brown? So at least Josh Brown texted me. Thanks, Josh.
I texted you too.
You did, yeah. Both of you guys texted me, so
it's all about the who.
But I understand we have Sean Goerss, who is an amazing who, trying to send out some texts for us right now. So hopefully we'll get some more people. But awesome. So the topic today is the 5 simple strategies, to start your 2021 strong, make it the best year you ever had. Man, I'm curious to hear, Tina, when you hear that, where do you start? What would be your advice for starting this year right?
Oh gosh. Well, it's funny because I'm just like, feel so hopeful about next year. I mean, who doesn't, right?
Well, after 2020, it's just like, what, anything's.
Yeah. And I don't know about anyone who's watching this or might watch it later, or the other people here, but I feel like this was a year where I planted more seeds than I have in a long time, and they didn't all sprout yet. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the fruit born out of a lot of the groundwork that I've laid this year. Reconnecting with my database. I launched an online Facebook group for my past clients, which was really successful. Had a couple really big events towards the end of the year. I kind of got my head on straight about how to do some social distance outdoor and drive-by stuff. So I went really hard on my database this year and did not get like instant gratification on a lot of it. But I've done this long enough to know that that's not the game that I really want to play anyway, because then I'm just on a roller coaster. So that's just kind of on a mindset level, is I'm like have full faith that a lot of what I did this year is going to show up next year when the markets open up and the vaccines get, disseminated, like it's going to be really great for real estate, I think, and rates are going to stay really low. So I'm looking to build on what I've done, and I'm happy to be more like tactical than kind of the vague statements I just made, but that's where I'm looking.
Well, I think the strategy, and one of the strategies is follow up. I mean, having a system in place to follow up and stay in touch with all those people that you've been adding to your pipeline. Same thing here. I mean, I feel like I don't think I've ever had this much stuff in the pipeline. Like it's ready to explode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we have a lot of buyers that tapped out in the last 2 months, especially where the prices have just gone up so much where people are like, give me a second. So I see that the buyer side of our business exploding and having a little bit more ease, finding them the inventory as things, again, I'm predicting things to kind of loosen up, at least in my market next year. So yeah, and that was one thing we implemented this year. We were in a old CRM that was not very functional, and we've just finished transitioning everybody in and getting people on campaigns and kind of doing that not fun foundation work to be a lot more efficient and tech centered in 2021. So I'm psyched about that too.
That's awesome. We'll definitely come back to you. Devin, I'll go with you on the same question. So, Tina touched on follow-up. We know about 70% of our business. I hear it's as high as 85% of our business comes as a result of follow-up. What would you say? What's another strategy you're using? I can't hear you.
Unmute, buddy.
I was,
muted.
I'm now here. So thanks, David. I would tell you that, the thing that specific to your question, the number one thing that comes to mind is committing to your own personal growth, whatever that looks like, making a recommitment statement or a commitment statement or a reclarification statement of what that looks like. I mean, in the most simplest terms, just answer the question, I, Devin Doherty, hereby commit to my personal growth in 2021 by improving my overall life satisfaction by blank, whatever it is, just fill in a blank. A single goal for some level of personal growth can change everything in the way that we look at the rest of this month, and then also how we roll into this whole New Year commitment thing. So I think just recommitting to personal growth would be my first point.
So recommit. So, and you're an NLP coach. Is that part of like NLP training, recommitting to personal growth, or how does that?
No,
how does that help somebody? Because I mean, is that
if you want to talk about it from an NLP perspective, what that commitment does is it clarifies the path that you need, that you're wanting to choose for yourself. Your conscious mind is your goal setter. So in your conscious mind, you set a goal. Your unconscious mind is your goal getter. And in your unconscious mind, that's what you're actually dealing with, is you're dealing with how a personal commitment can move things forward. But you have to live it in your mind first. Have you ever done the visualization about a lemon? Have you ever done that, David?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
So it just kind of proves the point about, I can do it with you real quick if you want, or to drive the point home. But basically it's a guided visualization. Do you want to just take 2 minutes?
Yeah,
and I'll show
sure.
you how to do it. Okay,
do it with Josh. Josh, you want to do it with Devin?
Well, no, we're all going to do it. We're all going to do it together.
Oh, okay,
and
awesome.
The people that are watching are going to do it as well.
Oh, there's no avoiding here.
Yeah. So let's just have some fun, you guys. So I want you to go on this journey. You're not going to leave anywhere, but I'm going to walk you through a mental journey. Take about 2 minutes. And the mental journey is going to include you standing up, which you may be sitting, but you're not really going to stand up. You're just going to mentally go through this. You're going to do a visualization of this process. And I want to just do a quick test with you, if that's okay. So let's all close our eyes. And I just want you to visualize wherever you are right now. Most likely you're probably at home because we're here. Wherever you are, pretend you're at home, you're in your office, and I want you to stand up in your mind. And I want you to stand up and notice everything you're noticing around you. And I want you to walk into the kitchen, to your kitchen, to your specific kitchen in your kitchen. And I want you to notice that on your kitchen island or your peninsula or your counter, wherever you can see in your kitchen, I want you to notice that there's a couple of lemons there. And then I want you to go to those lemons and I want you to touch the lemon, grab one of them and put it in your hand. And I want you to feel its waxiness. I want you to smell it, put it up to your nose. You can get a little whiff of it, right? So you can smell that lemon. And then obviously continuing with your eyes closed, I want you to go to your knife drawer and set the lemon down. Now be careful. I want you to cut the lemon in half. And then I want you to put the open lemon back up to your nose and get a good whiff of it and squeeze a little bit of juice off it. And I want you to really get that sense of things. Okay. And now open your eyes. Now, who had a shift happening in their mouth at all as we were going through this? Some people will see more, some people see that is the unconscious mind controlling your physiology. Okay. So by recommitting to personal growth, what's happening is that the unconscious mind can unlock the path for you just like that. So the cool thing about visualization is that it's freaking real.
I got this sour taste in my mouth. Tastes like a lemon.
Right.
Hey, I'm surprised you didn't have to tell us to take a bite. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to say, okay, bite into it. And then like,
well, if you want to go back there, I bet you can continue.
Yeah.
Right?
And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're driving, do not do the exercise until you pull over to the side of the road. Okay.
Right.
You don't want
exactly.
any. All right. So yeah, awesome.
We don't want any
man.
lemon crashers.
We don't want any lemon crashers. All right. Awesome. So recommitting to personal growth. So Martiroso brothers, what do you guys have to add to this conversation? What are you guys doing to start this year the right way?
Well, we got this awesome book from our buddy David Hill. So I've been thinking a lot about the who, right? Like, who do we need to get into our organization and our businesses to take it to the next level? Because I'm like you, I'm very much a do-it-yourselfer, but I've been thinking that's really limiting our growth in many aspects, right? Because if you feel like you have to do it, things can get done, but you don't have to be the one to do it. And that's a lot of the stuff I'm getting out of that book. And we've been thinking a lot about who we need to hire and bring on and partner with to take our businesses to the next level. That's what we're thinking about for 2021.
So you're talking, so for you, it's about partnering and aligning with the right people, the right who's going into the new year.
Yep. But I can't speak for the other Arthur, so I'll let him speak for himself.
He's busy texting, so I don't know, he's got some, he's closing some deals.
What was the question?
Forget about it, dude. Forget about it. Just go to.
No, I know what the question was, but did my brother answer the question, or did he say something completely different?
No, he said you guys are focusing on some who's. He said you got the book. By the way, for anybody listening to this, we are doing a book club, and the next one's going to be on the 21st of December at 4 Eastern. So if you grab a copy of the book, you can join us. We did it this past Monday. It was amazing. I think we had about 14 people on there. Great conversation. So anybody grab the book, you can join us. Just go to zoomwithdavid.me, and you can get registered for that. So, all right. So back to Dave. What were you saying, Dave?
So this is what I want to share. I think that like the pandemic is hard, and I second what Devin said, where you got to do personal work on yourself. I think that I feel like, I tell my brother all the time, I almost feel in a weird way, like my life was a damn pandemic, like on my own, like things just were never working out. And the whole time I just like kept working so hard on myself and like reading books and studying and like, being positive around my son and making sure like he sees how positive I am. And then when the pandemic happened, like obviously I think it's horrible, but I also think it showed me personally, like I didn't have a lot of holes in my mentality or my heart or my soul, because like I've been working on myself so damn hard that I think this has been a great year for me, as weird as that is. And I feel like what I tell my team and the people that are in my inner circle is that, hey, like you have to work on yourself all the time, because you don't get tested when you're reading all these positive books and it's all cool. It's like when things go south and things go sour and like your relationship doesn't work out, and all of a sudden you're on an island on your own, and then you don't break mentally, that's awesome. That's how I'm feeling. I feel a little guilty feeling that, because I really feel like I worked hard to be in this place. And the only way I can explain it to people is you got to put in the work, or it's going to show. And if you don't put in the work, it's like Devin said, like, you got to work on yourself. It all begins and ends with you. And on some level, it just makes it easier to deal with whatever comes at you from the world. And that's just what I wanted to share.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I there's a lot of people I think that have the same sentiment for 2020, that, you know, it was a year of growth. Although we went through so much, so many people grew so much from it. You know, it's kind of like do a race like Josh does Ironman races. Those are grueling races. The training is grueling. Everything about it. I mean, I did it. But after you do it, you're like unstoppable. Like, you grow as a human being. At least that's how it affected me, right, Josh? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you want to add anything.
I would like to just go out and train all the time and not do work, but that's why I work, so I can train.
All right, awesome. A man of a few words. All right, so we'll jump back to, hey, there's Sean Goerss. Sean, did you do some good work for me and get that text and email out to all the people that registered that don't have any way to get in?
An email and a text out. He's a rock star.
Sean's the man.
I pushed some buttons, so we'll see.
So Sean, how many houses does your team typically close, since we have you in here?
Well, it's team. The team has changed over time. I actually just started a second team. So the first team being my hometown team, they'll probably, we'll see, they'll probably end up around 35 to 40 million in sales volume this year. And then the second team is going to be across the entire state of Minnesota. I've also got a new team going with Devin in California. Sold in Cali is the name of that. So I got sold in Minnesota, sold in Cali. And then we've got the bigger broker team, which I think today is probably at like 1,250 some agents, somewhere around there, if I'm understanding those numbers.
1,000 agents?
Yeah, so that's like 1,200 agents in 8 months.
Yeah, this guy's no joke, man. He's like,
well, that's a lot of people working on that. That's not me, right? It's not just me, I would say. But yeah, last year my teams and in our old traditional brokerage bricks and mortar model did 464 closings on 5 million in GCI or revenue. So this is living the dream. I don't know what all you guys are talking about, but so for me it was doing business with more people.
Yeah, we're talking about strategies, man. Just for everybody listening to this, going into the new year, I'm going to get this out next week. So as everybody's coming into 2021, real estate, what are some strategies? This meetups, weLoveRealEstate.net. So how do we start the year strong? Devin talked about, recommitting to personal growth, which is really the mindset. We talked about the who, kind of surrounding yourself with the right who's. We also talked about follow-up, being in touch with all the people that the database. Patina talked about the pipeline that she's been building. I think we all can relate to that, right? So many people are on the fence this year. I mean, what would you add to that?
What would I add to that? You're asking me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Go know the smallest unit metric in your business. So if it's real estate, that's how many live conversations does your goal dictate you make today? If you do not know that number, find it out, or pick a number out of the air, and that number out of the air should be 20. And we've been tracking those metrics for many years in the business, and the average almost every year is about 103 to 108 live conversations equals one closing. So if you don't know your number yet, that's okay. High performers can get down into the 30s. So like 30 some contacts to a closing. Newbies, it's, can be 300 or 400 contacts to a closing. In our world, a contact is a significant two-way conversation about real estate. So that can happen on a Facebook DM or a text message or a phone call, or an Instagram DM, or I don't know. I haven't defined what a TikTok DM is yet. And then the key component there, the little asterisk on that is, and most of you know this no matter what business you're in, but especially real estate, you must hit that number for a period of at least 6 months in a row. So if your goal is, 200 conversations a month, and you do 205 and 203 and then 102, then you get to start all over. You get to start all over, because that's the real estate. That's the real estate roller coaster, right? Your lead generation isn't consistent, so you have this whipsaw 60 to 90 days later where your closings aren't consistent. And you need to build up enough, you need to spool up enough momentum. And so that period is at least 6 months. So just do it consistently for at least 6 months. What does Gary Vee say? Hustle in the short term and have patience in the long term. That would be my advice for 21.
Amen. So Devin, I know you got to take off in a couple. I want to jump back to you. What's going to be the biggest thing that's going to get in the way of people, doing what you said with the mindset, kind of recommitting to that mindset?
Well, I think it comes down to one word. I think when you hear me talk about the clarity I have on how I show up to people, it's my clarity in understanding my path that will allow me to get to what Sean said. Everything that Sean said is awesome. One word gets in the way of that, and I don't know what that word is for each person, but what I would ask you to do is to go to the positive side, and when you are clear about the commitment you're making, find a word that matches up to the way of being that you're looking to choose for yourself. So let's say it's family as an example, just for the sake of conversation. Let's say you want more time with family. You want to do more hiking. You're not spending enough time with the kids. I'm not saying this is me, by the way. But one word that could drive me to an effective growth in that area would be active. Like, I can get active, right? And then I can start to filter my thoughts through that word, and it can help me get clarity about how active can show up to meet me in the family values area. Does that make sense?
No. Active. Right. So what is active?
Active is whatever you choose it to mean. But for me, it means, let's say, one hike a week with my kids. So
you mean taking action. So yeah, getting out there, taking a hike,
it just means being active. Right, exactly. Being active, whatever that looks like. My point, though, is that you're going to find a missing value in one way of being that you're choosing for yourself for next year. And then find a word that matches what you want it to be and go towards that.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Yeah. I mean, it's good advice. I think just it's it's just about doing right now. I think you're right. I think people have to just choose, and then, I mean, any strategy, like you said, being active is how important is like journaling and meditating on it, and is stuff like that even important in your mind? Or I know for me, I do.
Well, here's the thing: is that we could prescribe a whole lot of stuff, and we have so many people on the call, and each person has 5 ways. So you're gonna have 30 ways to do this. The point for me, for all of y'all, and for anybody who would ever watch this, would be just do whatever one thing, make a small shift. Any one thing can make a big difference. And so the answer is yes. If journaling is missing for you and you want to insert that, commit to it. But just like Sean said, you're going to have to find a path. By the way, I can tell you that journaling is a very effective tool. And the thing that I ask people to do is I just ask them to hold pen to paper and set a timer for 7 minutes with the pen not leaving the paper. Hold the pen, set it for 7 minutes. Probably the first 5 minutes, you're going to say, this is stupid. And then in the last 2 minutes, you might write actually something that's valuable if you've never done it before. And you don't have to do it forever. You could do it just the one time, but do it on a topic like, what do I want out of 21? Just a very generic question. And you can go inward with that. I think the challenge we have is that there's so many options that people have. I just would, my takeaway You know, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, would be just pick one thing that you want out of your life and go for it. Put a mantra behind it and choose that for yourself, and it'll bring clarity in every other area of your life.
I love it. Yeah. So if your goal going into New Year's, I want to get in better physical shape, then go to the gym.
Active might be your word,
yeah,
right?
Get a gym membership and make a commitment to go 4 days a week, right?
But find a way to meditate on something that's going to filter the noise out, right? That's really what we're talking about. Is just try to get as clear as you can about what you know you want and what you don't want. And then you also have to get right with yourself. That a lot of times forgiveness of not what you know, a lot of us have had a year of, like for me, I had a year of less effective health strategies. And as I continue to move forward with what I want out of my life, I'm going to insert more effective health strategies. And the fact is that there's got to be some forgiveness towards yourself and the world around you, and ownership of that so that you can move forward.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that conversation. We had that last week on one of our team calls, and you were talking about forgiveness, and I can be really hard on myself. I know that personally.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I forgive you. Please forgive me. I got to jump. Love you guys.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Bye-bye.
All right. So we'll go back to Tina. Tina, so follow up. We're going to talk about, you said some strategies with, like, what are you doing now to kind of re-engage some of those relationships, some of those people that have been sitting on the fence? How are you approaching that?
So it's interesting. Like, I am so, susceptible to shiny object syndrome. And I have caught myself wanting to roll out different grand things for next year. And I realized that I want to keep my business as simple as possible. And there's one thing that has always worked for me, which is my referral strategies, which are a combination of being actually relational, like in relationship with people, actively communicating with them, and then really great marketing and events that kind of back that up. And I was reflecting on this year, and I definitely reconnected with some people for sure. And I also went really deep on marketing and did some really great things. But I've kind of realized that I think I can keep marketing, but it's not going to yield more of an ROI. So I've been reflecting on how to just start talking with people more, like the top people in my database. I had a long dormant plan to roll out a VIP program for my most supportive advocates. So I'm going to be moving in that direction versus doing something completely new and different. And some of you guys on this call might cringe when I say this, but I really don't want to call people for a bunch of reasons. And yesterday I was like, a lot of my clients love getting email. So I'm actually going to start just checking in with people via email. And then that way I can do what I like to do, but not feel like I'm playing phone tag with people all day and returning a bunch of phone calls. So I'm just leaning into what I enjoy. And of course, I could text people and Facebook message them. I've just installed some little habits. Now I never post on people's wall for their birthday. I private message them and start a conversation. So it's little stuff. None of this probably sounds very sexy, but I've just found when I'm in active relationship with people, they refer me. And the more I work with that, the more business I'm going to have. So that's where I'm going. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna let Dave and Art, I should say, what questions you guys have for Sean, for Tina. I'm gonna throw this out there too, because I think this is the 5 simple strategies. So all the clients I'm working with right now we're focusing 100% efforts on listings. 100%. I don't want to take anything away from buyer's agents. We just had a team that had, instead of any of their buyer's agents working with buyers, they all started focusing on listings. And now they're bringing in anywhere from 2 to 4 listings a week. And that just happened just from changing the focus because we have plenty of buyers, but if we can't get them a property and we're in multiple offer situations every single time, I think if you focus on listings, at least that's my opinion, you focus on listings, the buyer problem is going to work itself out. So I'd be curious. So like, what questions do you guys have? Art, Dave, anybody?
So I guess I'll ask Tina this question. It seems like the majority of your business is sphere of influence, which I think for most top agents, that's the key. And you have a small team. What are your second and third sources of business that you're focusing on that's bringing in that additional? Because 100 units is a lot for anybody. So what are those other sources that are bringing in that business?
It's really all components of sphere. So I've got like past clients that repeat. And then the way that I acquire new clients is pretty much through social network. So networking, everything I do on social media is organic. This year, I tripled my Instagram followers through a lot of effort. I get leads through my DMs like on a weekly basis. I am really active with my personal Facebook. I schedule posts. So that is really how I grow my business. And I basically friend and follow anybody that I meet that I would want to have some kind of relationship with. And that has worked really, really well for me. So I could be more specific about that, but that's really the way that I grow it. And yeah, I had a little dalliance with buying internet leads this year and trying to convert them myself and realize that it just wasn't for me. So
now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. So let's dive in a little deeper on that Instagram. So what did you do to grow that following by 3 times? And how are you getting referrals on Instagram? Are you messaging people every day or are you commenting? Like, what's the strategy? Because I find for most people, they break it. Like what you said about text messages was perfect for me. Like anytime I Facebook message everybody on Facebook, if I know them personally, I will text them, not send them a message.
Start the actual interaction.
So what are your strategies?
So Instagram specifically, I've spent a lot of time working on it this year, a lot, and like Headspace. So I'm really active with stories. I'm more of a story person. So I connect well with story people because there's people that are grid people and story people, and people tend to look at one or the other. Some look at both. But that's like an important distinction to kind of maybe figure out your space on Instagram. So there's this philosophy, somebody called it documenting your day the other day. And I was like, that's the perfect way to put it. So it's really sharing what I'm doing all day. It's a very big mix of business and personal. I shout my team out. I do some self-promotion, but I try to make it about other people or my clients, sharing success stories. I also have a lot of realtors that follow me, so I give business tips, which ironically my clients love. They like seeing me be a thought leader beyond just being a realtor. Sometimes I worry that it seems too far afield, but so that's really interesting. So I'm really consistent with story content. And then I open everyone's stories and then I DM them. So I reply to stories all the time and interact with people. I have built really tight relationships through Instagram story interaction. So that's my main thing. I've also worked on like traditional stuff of like having an Instagram grid that's cohesive and a look and filters and all of that. I find that that's a harder way to grow because Instagram is so saturated. So I do that, but it hasn't yielded nearly as much as what I do with stories. And everyone that I see in real life, they comment on anything they've seen that I share through there. I also follow people to build followers. I do some unfollowing, but I would say if there's one thing, I would say pick which direction you're going to go in for your interacting. And people are putting stories up to be noticed. I mean, it's like the ultimate narcissistic platform. So letting people know that you've noticed them and appreciate their time and effort to share goes a long way. And yeah, so I'll stop there, but that's a big part of it.
Good question.
I got more.
Fire away. Let's do this.
So you're posting on your stories a lot, but really you're getting the referrals by getting the engagement from the consumer, right? So give us a real life example. Like,
oh yeah, so I'm building relationships, right? So they're referring me because, or saying I'm ready to buy or sell with you. Because we've built a relationship through watching each other and I've developed trust. And then I do calls to action here and there. I try to really avoid being too salesy. I hate the way most real estate agents do social media. It's like so off. And I'm like, no one wants to see every house you list with the same template. Like I really try to avoid like templated flyer type stuff, because it just feels like you're looking at someone's advertising. So I say all of that to say that I'm selling by storytelling for the most part, and showing appreciation, highlighting businesses in my network. I did this crazy thing last month. I had this idea to do a Baltimore locally made gift guide. I solicited ideas on my Facebook profile, which is actually, I get more engagement on my Facebook, but I enjoy Instagram more. So I spend a lot of time on Facebook too. But I got like 100 suggestions of people's favorite gifts that are made and sold in Baltimore. I picked the top 50. I made a gift guide. I notified every business owner. I added every single one of them to my database. They all followed me. I followed them. And then I solicited free items from them. And now I'm doing giveaways all month and incentivizing people to follow me if they want to win these items. So that was something that took time because I'd never done it before, but it was so fun. And when you like support another small business, especially in these times like that, that's like an instant relationship in my book. So I'm always looking for ways to do that.
That's awesome. Great.
I'll give you guys a gift guide link just so you could take a peek. I'll put
Sean,
it.
do you have any questions, either Sean or Dave?
Dave always has the best questions. He fires away off at the hip. I mean, Arthur.
I have a question for Sean and I have a question for Tina. So, Sean, for you, the 108 was contacts. You track contacts like live conversations,
right?
And anybody that joins the team, essentially, they have to meet that quota or criteria.
Not necessarily, right? This is a coaching conversation, whether it's somebody who joins your brokerage or your team or for yourself, right? So what is your goal? If you have a goal to sell 36 houses next year, or 3,600 houses next year, how many live conversations is it going to take? And then know what that number is on a daily basis.
And that number, according to the way you track it, is 108 conversations.
Well, it depends on your skill level too, though, right? I mean, because
all those things. Yeah. I mean, the conversion rate overall, like amongst all of our agents, seasoned, David's skilled, unskilled, is about 108 live conversations equals a closing.
Okay, that's awesome. That's across all your agents. All right, that answers my question.
And you're going to have newbie agents, right, who they never do enough contacts to hit a tipping point in their career. So the answer, this can fake you out, a statistic like that. If you're a newbie agent and you don't have closings, guess how many live conversations you make? Enough until you get a client. And then you keep going. So it's not like it's a barometer, but for you personally as an agent and what your goals are or what your skill level is, you just need to come up with what the best estimate of that is, and then regulate yourself on a daily and really I would say weekly basis. I mean, I was a professionally trained real estate coach with my former brokerage. I never met somebody who didn't hit their goal for a week, but then consistently hit their goals on a monthly basis. So if you let more than a week slide on your goal, what happens is it's too much to like play catch up at the end of the month, unless you had an unforeseen life circumstance, right? And then maybe sometimes somebody would come through and do 100 live conversations in a day, which we used to call a bold 100. But most of the time, if you let more than a week slide. So my simple suggestion on this, my simple hack on this is either on a daily basis, commit to yourself and tell your family or loved ones or roommates or whoever, I will not drive in to the driveway before I have made my conversations. So if it's, you got done with showings at 8 p.m., right? And I'm Tina and I haven't hit my goal, man, I'm sending out, 8 more DMs on Instagram. I'm pulling the car over, sending my DMs, getting a two-way conversation going to hit, 4 more conversations before I go back to my house. Now, on a weekly basis, that could be Saturdays. So like we call it the breakfast club. So if you didn't hit, I had a good mentor, Gene Rivers, used to say, if you didn't hit your live contacts goal by like Friday at 5 p.m., just stop, call yourself an idiot, go home, have a glass of wine, and then go to work on Saturday morning. And just get the rest of your conversations done on Saturday, right? And let you have to plan for this ahead of time as a safety valve, expectations wise. You have to let your spouse or your significant other or whoever, your dogs, you have to let your dogs know you're not taking them on a walk on Saturday morning. You're going into the office and finishing your calls. So
that's where you got me, is the dogs.
I was trying to appeal to you.
So let me ask you this, because with regards to the contacts, I mean, you're talking about general. I mean, because depending on who you're talking to, the numbers they're gonna change. If you're talking to all expired or for sale by owner sellers, or people that have interest or had interest in selling, your numbers are going to be better. Or if you're just talking to sphere of influence, people that really hadn't thought about selling, then the numbers are going to be higher, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's about 5 key variables. One is skill, one is frequency, right? How many times you follow up with them. One is the source of the lead, right? A warm referral from a friend. You can have one contact equals a closing, right?
Sure.
Your sister calls you up and says, David, I'm going to list my house with you. Come on over. One contact, one closing. Boom.
My sister's in real estate, so probably not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One of my best tactics to get quicker contact ratios is just to say, if you know anyone that hasn't had success selling their house, let me know. It's maybe a little tougher of a tactic in this market where anyone can sell anything. But that's such a specific ask that people can instantly think of something or not. So just a little one to try.
Yeah, the topic there of creating inventory that you said, David, is very powerful. And I have found skill-wise, a lot of agents do not know the scripts for creating seller inventory. And in this market, if you do not know those scripts, it would be a good idea to learn them quickly and start using them. So whether that's, and it's mostly RAS activated, right? Reticular activator. So it's who do you know who maybe tried to sell their house in the past and just didn't work out? Or the other big one from my coach was, it's still relevant today, which is who do you know who maybe hasn't even thought of selling their home? And yet if they could sell their home and be pleasantly surprised with the price they could get, would maybe consider selling. And so as agents, we have to find that inventory. We have to find the people. You're literally finding someone who hasn't gone to your website, doesn't show up on a dialer, maybe they're just, they're watching your Instagrams. I mean, that kind of voracious, lead, just nurture cultivation that Tina is doing is huge for that, because she's staying top of mind as a realtor, and she's showing the success she's having as a realtor. From what I can tell anyway, that's what I see.
Thank you. And I will add one tactic that I forgot that we've done that we're going to go deeper with in January. I was going to do it this month and it just didn't feel like the right message of the moment. We have done this thing this year called Name Your Price. And we created a really simple Google form where somebody can go in and fill out their name, their preferred contact mode, their address, and what they would take for their house today. We made the form as few fields to enter as possible to get people to fill it out. And we have used it to find passive sellers in our database, and also through social networking. I've run a Facebook group for my zip code that has 2,000 people in it. We've promoted it in there and gotten a few leads that way. So we're going to go really big on that in January with kind of more of a New Year's message versus getting lost in the holiday sauce that people are busy right now. So we've made a ton of off-market matches this year through that messaging and gotten people amazing prices for their houses. And then those have been some of our best testimonials too. So it's making sure you tell the story at the end as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I met with somebody last night, and he was expired that his house came off the market in May, and basically set him up on a market report where every 2 weeks, he got an email just kind of showing him what's happening in the market, what's happening in his neighborhood, prices. And I called, I think we spoke maybe twice. We sent texts. He was responding back and forth to text. And then last night we had a really, really great meeting, you know? And so, and it's just, it's the fall. It's all, it's the follow up. It's somebody that's a motivated seller, you know, that he has to sell the house. He's going through a divorce, you know, they've been prolonging it. You know, we just had a closing yesterday on a $600,000 property in Bolton that was a expired lead from 3 years ago. That tells you 3 years ago, that tells you the follow, you know what I mean? So it's just having a good system in place and you know, just keeping in front of these people, you know, and you know, you can do it through automation most times. It's not like I'm calling the guy every 2 months. They're just receiving emails. They're in getting our newsletter. They're, you know, so yeah, it's awesome stuff. But I guess my point is, you know, going into the new year, if I could add anything, I would say focus on people that have their hands up, which in my mind is for sale by owners and expireds. And we have got a pipeline that is full. And I'll tell you, my conversation is simple. How do I help? And I want to be plan B. Like if you know, if things aren't like for a FSBO, if you get hung up, I'd love to be the plan B choice for you. It's non-confrontational. It opens up the conversation, you know, same thing with expireds. I get it. Yeah. You know, what can I do to help you and be plan B? So anyway, I just want to throw that in for people listening because it's been really, really effective for us. And some of my clients are killing it right now with listings, you know, just taking these FSBO and expired listings.
One other tool I want to add in that we've had some early success with is HomeBot. I don't know, have any of you guys tried HomeBot yet?
No.
It's a great tool where you can drip a monthly automatic home valuation on your client, but it also cross-references with public records. It can see when they got their mortgage and at what rate, and it estimates their current equity. It gives them the latest interest rates with an estimate on how much they could save on a refi. It's pretty valuable information compared to just a neighborhood market drip, which I feel like anyone knows they can get anywhere through any website. It's either free or $25 a month, depending on what plan you use. And then you can see it, HomeBot will notify you through every channel known to man that you want when people are engaging with their report. So it's another great way to have a reason to follow up with people. And a lot of the time it's just servicing a good lender referral for refis, but a lot of them are also thinking about selling, especially with prices being up all over the country. Check it out. I love HomeBot.
I think Mike Wiseman uses HomeBot and he loves it too. You know what? I just use the KV Core market report, and I'll tell you what's interesting is when I send out like emails, like I'll send out like a monthly email, like, hey, the four things to, you know, be aware of before hiring a real estate agent, and people opt out, but nobody opts out of like, here's what's happening in your neighborhood. You know, the opt-out rate is so low on that because people care about that.
Yeah, it's relevant.
So whether you're using an amazing service like HomeBot or you just have the general, I think that's something important to give people what they want. People don't want recipes. They don't care about Dave's cookies and Dave and Art's cookies and all that good stuff anymore.
David's cookies are the best. Come on.
Are they?
My cookie. I got a good recipe.
Yeah, I know. But all right. So we're going to start wrapping this up. We're going to wrap this up soon. What would you say? Anything, Dave, anything else you want to ask? Any Art, Sean, anybody?
Yeah. I actually got a couple questions, one for Tina and one for Sean. So Tina, back to your Instagram strategy.
Man, this guy's grilling you on Instagram, man.
Dude, it's all about the IGs. It's 2020, baby. All right, so back to IG, right? Just so somebody listening to this can take something away. Say they're like, okay, I'm committed. I'm going to do the Instagram thing, whatever. And the best part of it is storytelling. So are you just going like, hey, I'm showing this house, check it out, and I'm going on a listing appointment, check it out. Like, is that the strategy? Is that the easiest way? Like, just had a Zoom meeting with my boy David Hill, check it out, or are you doing something different?
Yes, so that's what I do. And ironically, I'm not even in the field. I have a partner who works with all my clients. So I don't even have houses to show off that I just walked through. And if I did, I would have even better stories to tell. So I'm actually doing it from like behind the scenes, but I like hop on video, and like 2 things to know. If you're doing stories, you have to do video. You can't just do still, and you really need to caption and give people an idea of what you're talking about. Cause so many, like, do you guys keep your sound off a lot? I do. Like, I don't like turning my sound on if someone's sitting right next to me. So it's important to caption everything or give a snippet.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I skip right over people talking with no idea if it's worth turning the volume on for. So, all that to say that, like, whenever anything happens that I can tell a story about, I do it right then and there if I'm not in the middle of something, while like the inspiration and the energy is live. Like, listen to like what just happened with this appraisal, or I'm so proud of my team member, she just did this. So I look for those. And then we do have a system. Our transaction coordinator shoots me a little ping through our system every time we have a closing, and she sends me a picture. We try to get pictures of people and all the like stats from the sale, so that I have content like put right in front of me for my own posting. So there's different ways to run that depending on your team, but we make sure that we're telling the story about every single closing. And even if it's only like a couple a month, to the viewer, it seems like an endless stream of production.
Yeah. My Instagram stories are going to be on fire now.
Okay,
Woo,
we'll have to follow each other. And, you know, whenever I speak in front of a large group, I always tell them to follow me. So there's ways to get followers just by remembering to tell people like that that's what you would like them to do.
Got it. All right, Sean, you were talking about, well, 2 things I want to ask you about is,
he had to go.
Forget about it, Sean.
Sean,
I'll ask David on behalf.
Yeah, sick of your question.
I'll just ask David. How did he go from? Did he say he recruited 1,200 agents?
Tina may know the answer more than I do to that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I need a 1,200.
Probably talking about Thrive, right?
Yeah, he was talking about Thrive. I mean, that's the power of EXP, right? Like it's a good platform for building quickly. It's easy to bring people on with less limitations. It's easier to recruit all across the country. So the pond is bigger. So, I mean, I don't mean to pitch that, but like it's that. And then of course, like a really influential team of people that have worked together to create that. It's teamwork. It's the who, not how. Actually, that's the perfect note to end on, isn't it? So
who, not how.
Yeah.
The Spartans only had 300. You guys are up to 1,200. You're doing something right.
Yes. A couple things.
All right. So here we go. And kind of wrapping this up, putting it together. The 5 strategies are reconnect. Was it, what did he say? Rediscover, personal growth, right? How did he say that again?
Recommit.
Recommit. There you go. Yes.
To
The
personal
mind
growth.
of Devin Doherty. Recommit to your personal growth. Surround yourself with who's. That was what Mr. Martiroso had said. You know, get yourself a copy of the Who, Not How. You guys get to hang out with us.
That book is so good.
People like us. And don't forget about this other awesome, the Sales Playbook 2.0 coming out really soon. Don't forget. All right. Surround yourself with the right who's. Follow up. My goodness. Don't follow up. Use that Instagram. Use your CRM. Use those market reports. However, you know, we're giving you a lot of really good meat and potatoes things today. And I like what Devin said too, is, you know, you don't have to do all these strategies. Find the one that works the best for you, and focus on that one and master that one, you know? And then, let's see. Oh, Sean talked about live conversations, knowing your numbers. So if you're listening to this, figure out how many, you know, if your goal is, you know, I want to close 50 homes next year, then figure out how many people you need to, how many conversations do I have to close 50 homes next year? So that's a critical number. And I said listings. I think now's the time to just go 100% focusing on listings, you know, and I'm going to stick to that because that's what I do. So any final thoughts from all you rock stars, you geniuses? Actually, Josh Brown, you got any questions, man? You've been our guest, a quiet guest here.
No, this is great. This is amazing. I kind of like figured I would log into a high level meeting. I didn't expect it to be a small, tight knit group. all the ideas are amazing, right? I'm a sphere person, and I am deep diving into my sphere this year and referrals and all that. I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's really, really paying off. So, adding people to making the phone calls, keeping the relationships alive, and adding people to your system is, have a system. I don't care what it is, whatever system you think you'll follow, because if you won't follow it, what's the point? But if you haven't, everybody's got a different system here, I think. And the cool part is they all work, and you just have to add people to your system and then cultivate your system however you do it.
Absolutely.
So, good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, brother. Everybody, thanks for joining. I don't know if you guys want to give like a 1 minute each, Tina, like what would be your biggest takeaway? People listening to this, we're going into a brand new year. What's the one thing that you really want them to take from listening to this today?
The importance of listings. And you kind of brought that back to front and center. And then I was like, oh yeah, my name your price thing. So I think finding a way to connect with listings, there's so many ways that we've gone over throughout this Zoom. It's leverage, and without creating more of our own inventory, it's just going to be a tougher year to service the buyers that we're all going to, end up working with. So it's critical.
I love that. Are you going to use a Google form for that, or how are you going to send that out?
Yeah, it's technically a job form, which I like because it looks a little cleaner, and I'm using the free version. So
yeah.
But a Google form's just as good, or a form that feeds right into your CRM, which I'm going to set up like a Zap for that.
That's awesome.
But I would just keep it really simple, and then it's easier to capture people's info that way with a compelling message. And there's even a little disclaimer, like, this doesn't obligate you to anything. You just go into my little database, and people are like, oh, okay, I'll fill that out.
You know what? I'm going to just make a point too. When you say compelling message, I was on a call this morning and they talked about a compelling message, and what the speaker demonstrated as an example of a compelling message is when you're on the highway and there's a car accident and everybody's stuck in traffic and you're super frustrated. But then when you finally get up and you can see the accident, how you're so like, oh my God, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. Right. Like, and as you get up there, you're so compelled to see, like, right. Do you guys relate to that? Like, that's a compelling message. You're in your mind, like, I gotta see, like, you can't just drive by and not look at what happened. Right. Like, I just thought that was such an amazing example of a compelling message. It's like, you just can't help. So how do we put compelling messages out there where people cannot help to either click on our emails, open our emails, return our phone calls, all that stuff?
Yeah, I'll say, like, it's funny. I already forgot what it was, but I got an email with a great subject line. So good subject lines are critical. Like, anyone that sends anything out with a newsletter in the subject line should be shot. Like, nobody wants to read your newsletter. Like, give me a break. Also, the other thing with name your price is I've said things like, you would not believe how much people are paying for houses right now. People are paying insane prices. There are prices that you could get for your house that might be your dream price. So tell me your dream price. It just gets the conversation going. Yeah.
And you're finding people that are raising their hands, right? You're finding people that you may not have known they were even thinking about selling. Now they've raised their hand with a price. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. All right, Dave. What do you want to leave everybody with, man?
I don't know. It sounds like call your people and just like back to the basics, right? Some people built really big teams and then they scaled it back down to like the Mighty Four model. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. Just have the people that are going to work their sphere and have that be your team. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that sounds awesome to me.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you. Yeah. Arthur, my friend.
The real Arthur over here. I say find your niche in 2021, whether it's Instagram or if you're going to make the 20 calls a day or you're going to focus on expireds, find your niche. And then I'm also going to be personally thinking about who, right? Just because you want to do something or accomplish your goal doesn't mean you have to be the one to do it. So strategic partnerships and also maybe hires, right? Just hire somebody, pay them. If they love to do whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, you could take your business to the next level.
Yeah, I'm in the process of finding some who's now, and I need to you know, this book is amazing. I would encourage you to go out there and pick up this book, Who Not How. Join us on our mastermind book club. And yeah, and for all the poor people that couldn't get on because I was the Who putting this whole thing together, and you know, I just can't seem to get my tech right. I apologize, but we'll get you next time with the Who, and you can at least listen to the recording. So again, hey, I want to thank all you guys for joining us today. Really, really appreciate your time. You know, thank you, Tina. And
Thank you guys. This is awesome.
Thanks, Tina.
Art,
We'll be
Josh.
friends on
everybody.
Instagram.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you. Happy 2021, by the way.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.